opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside the Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, it's brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm going to do what I always do and put their logo in the top right corner so you know exactly where to go. If you are in the market for a new or used vehicle, it's Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin. I never point right consistently. Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every day and at YSN, but we thank Greenwood Chevrolet especially for being with us since day one of Running Point, and we love their sponsorship. If you're in the market of a new year's vehicle, make sure to check out Greenwood Chevrolet. No one will treat you better, and no one goes the extra mile for you like they do. We have a great show for you today. We're going to obviously recap the tournament action, both baseball and softball. We'll see where the brackets lie after one night for Divisions 1 and 4. We're also going to have an interview today with South Range Junior Madison Dato, who's competing in the district semifinals tonight against Pymatuning Valley. So you can get ready for that district semifinal by listening to what she had to say about her season so far and how that's going. And then we're going to also, of course, preview the tournament games that are happening tonight as well. So it's going to be a good show. Let's start with the recaps. Let's go into the NEDAB database like we always do. I'm going to pop it up on your screen so you can see what I'm looking at. And there you go. We're going to go into softball and start there because they were in districts. And we will start with Division 1 softball. We have two teams left. We had two teams left in Division 1. And we start – well, we're just going to all the brackets because I honestly can't remember which ones are which. Northeast 1, we have the district championship set as Walsh Jesuit gets the win over Riverside. Final score there is 5-3. They win and move on to the district championship game. They will meet Maslin Perry, who took it to Green 7-1. The 2 seed gets thumped in the district semifinals. Very surprising result, but both teams know each other so well. They're both Federal League teams, and Perry gets the better of Green in this particular day. So your district championship here in Northeast 1 is going to be Walsh Jesuit versus Maslin Perry down in Mentor on Wednesday. We go into Northeast 2, and I believe this is the Youngstown bracket. It sure is. Austintown Fitch, no problems there, 11-0. They get the win over Madison. Sydney Watts throws a no-hitter. They move on to the district championship at Youngstown State. Who will they play, though? They will play Mentor, who got the 4-2 win over East Lake North. A little bit of an upset here, too, 16 beating 11. So Mentor, the 16 seed, will face off with Fitch in the district championship game. That'll be Wednesday at 5 o'clock at YSU Softball Complex. A big one for Fitch as they try to get back into regionals for the second straight year. And then we'll go into Northeast 3 real quick, and this is going to be the Massillon district, as we saw Massillon Jackson get the win as the 4 seed, barely over Stone Monroe Falls, 2-1 final score for the Polar Bears to advance. That was exciting enough, but Hoban played a 10-inning thriller with North Canton Hoover, and Hoover ended up coming out on top of this one, 5-3. The final score: Hoover scores 2 runs in the top of the 10th inning to win this game. Faith Porter threw over 180 pitches, pitched all 10 innings, gave her heart and soul to this game. In the end, Hoover just made a couple of timely hits in that top of the 10th. You had to know eventually someone was going to blink, and they were able to fight the sunlight. The sun was definitely setting. Sun was getting real low, big guy. And Hoover was able to come out on top. There was a big moment in this game where Hoover pulled the triple play, because I was there. I was taking pictures. You can find pictures of this game on my personal Facebook page. But there was a particular moment in this game. I believe it was the bottom of the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. All those innings kind of washed together after a while. But Hoban had a really big scoring opportunity, 2 on, nobody out. And I can't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I'm not the coach. Only the coaching staff knows exactly what went wrong in this situation for Hoban. But what I would guess is that with first and second nobody out, Coach Yun put on a kind of a bunt hit and run where the batter was supposed to bunt the ball or get the ball on the ground any way possible to try to move those runners to second and third with 1 out, with your worst case scenario. And in my opinion, like what I think happened is that the hitter, who I can't even remember who was at the plate, who was on base, but what I think happened, this is the most logical explanation I can come up with, is that the sign was missed. I think the sign to get the ball on the ground was missed because it wasn't a bunt, it was a swing, and they popped it up in the air. It was a fly out to fairly mid-range outfield. And everyone on the base pass bolted like it was going to be a hit and run. And the catch was made, and both the base runners were way too far off the bag at that point. So Hoover gets the triple play. And that's the first triple play I've been in person for in softball, at least at this level in high school. So that was exciting, but it wasn't exactly one that the defense, made an amazing catch on the line drive, tagged first, and then threw it to first. It wasn't one of those plays. It was just either a miscue on the base pass where the base runners forgot the situation, or a missed sign. It had to be one of those two things, because there was no chance to get back to the bases once the ball was caught in the outfield. And it was an unfortunate situation. Hoban came back from that, though. I was impressed. Came back. They didn't give it up in the next inning. They went out, they had a 1-2-3 ninth, and then they couldn't score in the bottom of the ninth, of course. And then once again, they came out, and Hoover got a couple of runs in the top of the 10th. Hoban put a runner in scoring position, and they had the tying run at the plate in the bottom of the 10th, but they just couldn't find a way to get it over. So that's the final score. Hoban's season ends in the district semifinals. I know it's disappointing for a team that went all the way to the regional finals last year, but we've said it before, we'll say it again, softball is fickle, and sometimes you don't get exactly what you got the last year just because you bring back a whole ton of people. It just doesn't work like that. Hoover played a really good game in their own right. They pitched really well. They have a great team. They have a great support system. Their fans, I was sitting with their fans on the right side to get the pictures of all the right-handed hitters, and their fans were very into the game. They were very loud, and I'm sure Hoban fans would say they were annoying, but I mean, hey, a good fan base is supposed to be a little bit annoying at some points. I never heard them cross the line, which is something I like to. I like when especially student section. There were a lot of students I was sitting with. I like when they're able to be, that annoying and chippy and fun without, there's that line you don't cross where you're not digging anything personal. You're not digging the other team and things like that. So they were really good at that. From what I heard, I couldn't hear everything. I was focused on taking pictures, so I might have not heard everything. But from what I had experienced, Hoover's fan base was very, very fun to be in and be be inside of. Right next to their dugout too. That's always fun to get a little glimpse into that coaching staff, a very veteran coaching staff in Hoover. So we got to hear some of their conversations and their strategy, which is always fun as well. Let's go into Division 4. We had district semifinals there as well. And we'll see where these brackets hold. District championship game is set in Jackson Milton as Matthews comes in, upsets Springfield with a shutout 3-0. Matthews knows how to win in districts. They've won 2 in a row, and they win into this one going into the district championship 3-0 over Springfield. Congratulations to the Tigers on a really great season. And we know that they'll be back again next year. They have really good players. On the other end, McDonald was not going to be surprised by East Canton. They took care of him. Isabella O'Brien just absolutely pitched a gem, and they move on pretty easily into the district championship. So this is going to be a fun one on Wednesday between McDonald and Matthews in Jackson Milton. One team that got to the district championship last year in different districts. These two teams did not meet each other last year. Remember, it was Matthews and Brookfield in Division 4 last year. Matthews got the better of the Warriors in that one. So this time, McDonald gets a chance at Matthews, and we'll see if our YSN team can figure out the Mustangs as everything's on the line on Wednesday. District championship, glory, trip to the regionals, all that fun stuff on the line. And McDonald's playing really well right now, so we'll see how they do on Wednesday in Jackson Milton. The Badger District is also set as we saw Chalker take care of Southern Local 10-0, the final score there. Chalker is the 3 seed. Actually, they're the 2 seed, excuse me. So no surprise there. They're able to get the really big win. Chalker, under the radar team. I know a lot of people don't talk about them here on the network because they're not a YSN team, but softball wise, they are very good. I know there are a lot of other sports that they struggle in, but softball, very, very talented softball team, especially in the pitching staff. So they advance to the district championship. And Western Reserve unloads their offense 17-7. They get the win over Western Reserve. So the key for they get the win over Middle Ridge, excuse me. The key for Western Reserve is going to be, can that offense get going? We've only seen them struggle on offense really twice this year, and that was both against McDonald's pitching staff. I shouldn't even see staff. It was both against McDonald's, Isabella O'Brien. That's the person that shut them down. But the thing that she did really well against them is she kept their speed off the base pass, and I think that's where their offense comes from. They're going to have to get their top hitters that are very, very fast on the base pass to put pressure on the defense, force mistakes with their speed, and that's how they score a lot of runs. They don't have a ton of power. They don't hit a lot of home runs. They really manufacture runs with speed. So if Western Reserve can get their base runners on, then they can really cause some damage to Chalker. We'll see how that goes on Wednesday. That'll be in Badger Wednesday, and that first pitch is scheduled for 5 o'clock Wednesday. I should say tomorrow because that is tomorrow. So by Thursday, we're going to have district champions in Division 1 and 4, and regionals will be set, which is hard to believe. I mean, this is going so fast. We have to say goodbye to so many teams. Today is the one where we're going to be saying goodbye to a lot of teams because a lot of our teams are clustered in Divisions 2 and 3. So it's going to be a fun one today between the all the brackets in Divisions 2 and 3 that are going on around the area. We're going to switch over to baseball on this Northeast District database. We'll go into Division 1, Northeast 1, and check out what that... Oh, I guess baseball is a little bit different. They didn't have Division 1 yesterday, did they? They had Division 2. They're opposite, right? Got to remember that. So Division 2, we had the sectional final. So Canfield has their opponent as Ravenna gets over East. So it'll be Canfield versus Ravenna on Wednesday at 5 o'clock in Canfield. The next one, Poland has an opponent as well. And it was Edgewood that got the win over Howland. A big one, 9-2. I think a lot of people thought this would be really competitive, but Edgewood showing their muscles a little bit, knocking off a very good Howland team that plays a lot of Division 1 teams on their schedule. So props to Edgewood for getting this win. They will go on the road against Poland as that's going to be an 8 versus 11 sectional final on Wednesday at 5 o'clock at Poland High School. That should be a really fun one, especially when you see how well Edgewood played last night. We'll also have a Ursuline Geneva matchup as the Irish waste no time with Painesville Harvey 11-1, the final score there. 5 versus 6, so Ursuline still does have to go on the road to Geneva Wednesday at 5 o'clock. That should be a fun one. 5 versus 6, very competitive. And then on the bottom of the bracket, Mogador Field has an opponent as Niles gets the win over West Geauga 11-3. Technically an upset, 19 versus beating 18. But we said it, Niles plays that NE8 schedule with a lot of tough teams on the slate. I was not surprised at all that Niles came in and really blew the doors off of this sectional semifinal. So Niles is not to be messed with. They are gonna, give it their all in this sectional final, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get into a district semi. To be honest, they're a very good team. They play a lot of tough opponents. Their schedule has them more than ready for this tournament. We'll go into Northeast 2 in Division 2 and see how that's shaken up. We have the 1-seed Alliance. They have an opponent as NDCL gets the win over Cheney, 20-2, the final score there. Marlington has an opponent as Madison gets the win over Jefferson. A tough one for the Falcons, 6-5. They fall just one run short of advancing into the tournament, into the sectional finals, but Madison gets the better of them by one run. So it'll be Alliance versus Madison. I should say Alliance Marlington. Marlington versus Madison. That's going to be the 9 versus 17 seed in that sectional final. Hubbard has an opponent as Struthers gets a win over Girard. These two teams have played thrillers all season. This one no different. Wildcats pulled out the Cardiac Cats with the win 7-6. They advance to play Hubbard, another all NE8 matchup, and that will be Wednesday at 5 in Hubbard. And then we follow down to West Branch. They get their rivals as Salem gets a late rally to upset Streetsboro 5-4 final score. Carson Rhodes only gave up 2 hits in his 6 innings of work, 1 earned run, and then Gavin Williams came on to save the game. And the 7th, it was 3 runs in the 6th and 7th inning combined from the Quakers that let them catapult into the sectional final. Salem versus West Branch, that's going to be a fun one. District on the line, 5 o'clock in West Branch on Wednesday. Winner goes to district, and these two teams have split during the regular season. So it's really the season series on the line, districts on the line, all the fun stuff for that rivalry. Everything you want out of West Branch Salem, you're going to get on Wednesday. Just checking to see, make sure there were no YSN teams in Northeast 3. I couldn't remember, but there are not. But those sectional finals are set as well. So let's go into Division 3 and see Divisions 4, 2 and 4. Why do they have to be different? You mess with my brain. Nope, no Division 4 either, just Division 2. Okay, Anthony's just all messed up now. Those are the scores we got from tournament time last night. Sectional finals and semifinals will continue throughout the week for baseball. And softball district semifinals and finals are happening tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday. Districts for softball can be found broadcasted on ysnlive.com. Reminder that one payment of $9.99 gets you access to all the games of the night. It does not carry over into the next day, though, so you'll have to go into tomorrow and pay $9.99 tomorrow for every game on the network that night. Districts only. Baseball's broadcast schedule will start next week for districts as well. So I want to go into these districts in divisions 2 and 3 and kind of preview these semifinals. Tonight we're going to see Marlington versus West Branch, and that's going to be happening right after the show, actually, at 2 o'clock in Jefferson. These two teams just met on Friday, and it was an offensive show 14-13. Marlington got the win. West Branch falls just 1 run short, but they have to have all the confidence in the world. And you score 13 runs against a team that you're about to play in a district. You got to think to yourself, okay, all we have to do, we don't have to play perfect if we score that many runs. We just have to, hold them to lower them 13 runs. That's all we have to do. West Branch has got to feel confident in this game. Got to. And I know they've been aiming at Marlington for a long time. I've talked to many of these veterans, these players that are coming back, these seniors, these juniors, and they know how important beating Marlington is to this program. They haven't done it in a minute, and West Branch would love to do it in the district semifinals, knock Marlington out of the tournament and get into those district championship. That would be knocking off the 1 seed, who a lot of people thought Canfield deserved. I thought Canfield deserved, to be honest, with the schedule they put together. Over 200 opponent wins for their wins in the last power rankings. So if that tells you that Canfield is playing all the best teams that they possibly can, I think probably deserving of that number 1. But Marlington is going to try to earn the number 1 seed this afternoon as they go up against West Branch, the EBC rivals. Once again, that game happening in Jefferson at 2 o'clock, right after the show, really. And then also in Jefferson tonight, the semifinal between Aurora and Ursuline. I'm really excited about this one. Ursuline pitched their butts off in the sectional final. Mia Opalik was electric. She's probably going to get the start again, I would imagine. You go with the hot hand. Coach Dugan always has her team mentally prepared. She really focuses on the mental aspect of the game, which I love. I wish more coaches would do. And I think Ursuline is just so hungry to get back in the regionals. They're going to give everything they got to this game. But Aurora is no joke. Aurora is a Division II team that really plays a Division I type schedule. They were Division I last year. They still have that Division I mindset. So the fact that they're Division II, just like Canfield, honestly, they're kind of in the same boat. They've been kind of begging to be Division II for a while because they were a very small Division I team. So now they move down in Division II, but still play that schedule that is geared and aimed towards a Division I tournament team. That makes Aurora very dangerous, very prepared as far as the things they've seen this year. I'm very interested to see how Ursuline attacks them in the circle, how they attack their hitters. I know Apollik is more of a north and south pitcher than an east and west. Maybe a little bit she'll go out and in, but she loves to come in with that rise ball upstairs and then hit you with a drop that really changes eye level. So that's going to probably be the key. I haven't seen Aurora's offense live yet this year, but I know they score runs, which depending on how they score them, though. Like if they're a power team, then obviously Pollock will probably try to work down in the zone a little bit more. And then if they're not a power team, if they're a speed team, then you'll probably go to that rise ball and try to make it as hard as possible for them to get to the top of the pitch. But it's going to be fun. Mia Pollock's a great pitcher, and she's trying to have a swan song and get the Irish back into regionals. Again, remember, 2 straight years where Ursuline has gotten to the regional finals and lost by 1 run in heartbreaking fashion both times. So they're a very hungry team trying to get back there. Aurora's got to be careful. They got to be careful. Let's go into the other district semifinals happening today. And it's going to be Canfield taking on Notre Dame Cathedral Latin in DCL. That's going to be at 2 o'clock in Hubbard. So right after this show, just like that Jefferson district, 2 o'clock start time. And just like Aurora, NDCL plays a schedule that's way up. That's why they were able to kind of coast through the sectionals, even though they're not necessarily the highest seed, just the 11th seed. They actually were the highest seed that Canfield could have played. But NDCL, very dangerous team. They play an up schedule. They play independent. They've seen every possible style of pitching that you could see. But what they haven't seen is they haven't seen Melina Toth. And the way that Melina Toth has been pitching this year, she's got this locked-in look in her eye. I'm telling you, there's something different. There's something different. She was a great pitcher last year, but she's got that fire that I see when I watch her pitch. Like, you are just not going to beat me. And I love watching pitchers like that. She always wants the ball. She's got that swagger on the in the circle, and love watching her pitch. So she's gonna have to, do another thing that she did in the sectionals. It was a no hitter in sectional finals. She'll try to pitch well again today and get Canfield into the district championship game for the second straight year. They'll also be watching a good one between Field and Howland. Howland, remember, winning that just back and forth tug of war to get into this point, as they were able to beat Alliance 15-11 after being down 8-2. This Howland offense is just electric. Um, with so many hitters that can beat you, whether it be the ones that a lot of people talk about, and Alyssa Masucci, Brooke Tater, of course. But I'm also interested in, no one talks about Zoe King. Like Zoe King in the 2 spot, and usually that lineup, is just a power hitter. She hit, last time I watched her live, she hit 2 home runs in her first 2 at bats. She can swing. Kayla Campbell seems to always come up with big hits in big situations. Chloe Lopez is a pure power swinger. Then you have people like Jade Fazette, who has really found confidence towards the bottom of that lineup. There's a lot of players that can hurt you in this Howland lineup. I don't think it's just Brooke Tater and Alyssa Masucci. I know they're the ones that get all the attention. They're the ones that get circled on the scouting report. But if you forget about some of those other hitters down the way that can really do some damage, then you're going to be in some serious trouble. Field barely escaped Gerard. So this is going to be interesting because, usually when teams don't play their best and escape, they usually fine tune themselves for the next round. And I think both these teams are probably, if they're honest with each other, are probably in that boat. I think Howland probably feels like they definitely didn't play great. They escaped that win with Alliance with allowing 11 runs and putting themselves in an 8-2 hole. I'm sure Coach Wade is saying, hey, we have to do better. We have to be better, focus up, tighten up. But Field is doing the same thing. This is going to be a very good game. And if Howland wins and Canfield wins, we'll look at an all AAC district championship game. Obviously, that's what we're rooting for because NDCL and Field are not YSN teams, so we can um, unapologetically root for an all AAC district championship. If you're a Field or NDCL and you want that kind of treatment, joining the YSN family is really easy, and we would love to have you aboard if you're listening from one of those 2 areas or you know someone from one of those 2 areas that's gearing up for that district semifinal. It's really easy to get in touch with us, and you start up the conversation about being a YSN school. We don't discriminate. Whoever you want, we have teams as far as Hoban and Orange and Pepper Pike and Louisville. So we are not localized to just the Youngstown area. So if anyone out there thinks that Chardon, which is where NDCL is too far, or Mogador is too far, no. We would love to cover those 2 teams if they are willing to come to the table and talk about being a partner. So, but for now they're not. So we are unapologetically rooting for Howland and Canfield for an all AAC district championship, because that would be fun not only for the conference rivalry, but also we would be guaranteed a YSN team into regionals, which is always a good thing as well. Want to go into the Division 3 districts, as we have the Northeast 1, which is the South Range District. Poland is going to play Brookfield tonight. These 2 teams met up earlier in the season, not a long time ago. It was a part of that tri-way, not tri-way like Worcester tri-way, but tri-team kind of, I don't want to say tournament. It was more of an event because everyone just played each other. That Poland had with Boardman and Brookfield. But they played in the last game of the day. Brookfield just came off a win over Boardman, and Brookfield also had champion that coming week, which at the time was a really big matchup for Brookfield. And I think Coach DeJoy kind of sacrificed this Poland game to save his pitcher for champion. Miranda Nicholson did not pitch against Poland, who is their ace if you don't know. And Brookfield still, without Miranda Nicholson pitching, put up a very hard fight. Poland did throw their ace, Katie McDonald, but Brookfield still saw her pretty well, scored 9 points. 9 points. What am I saying? 9 runs. I'm sorry about that. Scored 9 runs and really, put up a big fight. It was the Poland offense that eventually just saw their backup pitchers and, capitalized off of that with 15 runs, 15-9 win for Poland. I think this is going to be a very different game. I think Katie McDonald will make some adjustments. Remember, that was her 3rd game in 2 days, so she was probably a little bit gassed. I think she'll pitch a lot better. Miranda Nicholson is also going to be locked in. So I think even though the first game you'll look at the score 15-9, Poland gets to win the regular season, I would be very shocked if it's one of those kind of games again. Although both teams do have really good offensive firepower. Two big home run hitters on both sides. Mary Brandt has just really found her power this year. And I think it's because she's really put in work to hit the outside pitch. We've seen her go right center field with her power, with home runs to right center. Last year, that outside corner was a cold spot for her swing. She just could not get to the outside pitch. She struggled going the opposite way. Did a lot of work on the off season. Now she keeps her barrel back. She's got a lot of barrel discipline, and that helps her, take that pitch outside to right field. And with power, she's got power for days. And then Abby DeJoy, who is right now tied with the Brookfield program record for home runs in a season at 14 with Bailey Drapola. She needs one more to break that record. So both of them have really good power, but because of that power, and often with teams with power hitters, there are also hitters that do get a little bit overlooked. And I think Sophia Hook for Brookfield is one of those hitters. Everyone knows her on the basketball court, of course. But here on the softball field, she's hitting above 600, and she went 3 for 3 in their last tournament game. She gave Poland a whole lot of trouble in their first game. She's just a good hitter that knows how to get on base. Not going to get a bunch of extra base hits. I think she had a handful of doubles, maybe 2 triples the last time I looked, but she absolutely gets on base at a high percentage. She sets the tone for the top of the order. Um, Abby DeJoy, even though she leads the team in home runs, does not lead the team in RBI. That's Ariana Jones. So you have to watch out for her as well, because she is a hitter that comes up in that cleanup spot after the first 3 kind of set the table, and she can rocket doubles for days. You got someone like Katie Logan, who's a really good extra base hitter as well. So there's a lot of hitters in this lineup for Brookfield that get a little bit overshadowed because of how good Abby DeJoy is this season and how much she's hitting for power. Same thing with Poland. I think the most impressive part of their lineup are the 9, 1, and 2 hitters that usually go back to back to back if the lineup works out that way, with Avery Yakubovic and then Elena Thompson and then Leanna Bocherry. All 3 of them freshmen, and they've all 3 really done a good job this year being consistently, executing their at bats. I haven't seen them have a quote unquote bad at bat yet. Now I know I haven't been at every Poland game, but I've been at quite a few. And I haven't seen them live had a bad at bat. They usually are really competitive. They'll foul off tough pitches. I haven't seen them this uncompetitive in the batter's box yet, which is something to be said about freshmen. Usually you see freshmen, they can have good at bats, but they'll also have some at bats here and there that just you're sitting there like that. It was just not a good at bat. You didn't compete. You didn't do what you're supposed to do. You didn't execute the game plan. But every time I see them go up to the batter's box, they have a plan in the box. They execute it. Doesn't mean they always get the results. That's the sport. Sometimes you can do everything right and not get the results you want. But they have been doing a really good job of being consistently good in the box. And then obviously you have hitters like Katie McDonald right behind Mary Brandt that kind of protects her in the lineup. Not just a pitcher. She can rake. Power numbers a little bit down this year compared to last, but average is actually up this year compared to last, which is something I like to see out of Katie McDonald. Hitting for a little bit more average, a little less power, but she can still crank it out of the yard if you make a mistake to her, that's for sure. We'll go into the next district semi as we have South Range against Pymatuning Valley. This is a all YSN district with all 4 teams YSN affiliated schools. Pymatuning Valley, man, they have some really under the radar players, especially if you haven't heard of Bailey Alderman. You're going to hear about her because she is a very good hitter. She's a shortstop. She's put in time in the circle. Kind of those jack of all trades that every softball team loves to have. Player that you can put in almost any position, and she's going to pretty much thrive wherever she goes. Love watching her. But then Sage Payne, last couple games especially, she's come on not just in the circle, but also at the plate. So Sage Payne is going to be a player to watch for Pymatuning Valley as well. South Range, on the other hand, man, I know they're dealing with a few injury bugs, which is unfortunate for the Raiders, but they still have a very deep lineup. Maddie Dado is starting to heat up, who you're going to hear from in the second half of the show. She found her groove in Myrtle Beach after a tough couple weeks of the season to start. In fact, Before that trip to Myrtle Beach, she was hitting in the low 200s, like 205, somewhere around there. And since then, she has raised her batting average up 200 points, and she's sitting at like 416. Um, so that tells you the kind of turnaround she's had in her season. Led the team in batting average for most of the season last year, into the season second. And this team just got a lot of players who can hurt you. It's a good mix of veterans that have been there before, and then some newcomers that are really, really good. I'm looking at Gretchen Bartels, who hit 2 home runs in last year's district championship game against Gilmore Academy. Kelly Zolik, who was last year's Ysn Defensive Player of the Year. Those players and Julie Stakowicz, they have been there. They have done that. They know how to, work themselves in districts. But then you have someone like Kira Brogan, who is just set the world on fire as a freshman, and she's going to set the tone at the top of the order. A hitter that can both beat you with her speed. She has speed for days. She can ground the ball and beat out an infield single. But I have seen her just rake the ball to left center field to the wall. She has power too. So there are a lot of ways South Range can beat you. Julie Stakowicz in the circle is pitching really well right now. She has kind of answered the bell as Sam Suzanne dealing with a little bit of an injury. So there was a stretch where Julie Stakowicz pitched, I think, 3 or 4 games in 5 days, and every one it was like a 2-hit shutout, maybe 1 run given up. So she is the hot hand right now, and she'll probably get the start tonight. I don't know what the prognosis for Suzanne is, but I know Coach DeRose pretty dang well, as I've been following his program for a long time, since I was in high school at South Range. And one thing I know about Jeff DeRose is he rides the hot hand if it's there. And he might just say, "Hey, Julie, you're going to get us to the districts with the way you're pitching right now." And Jaylee Wilt can also come in the circle for the Raiders as well. So do not forget about that. So South Range, Pymatuning Valley, that game's going to happen about 6 o'clock, 3:30, the kind of unicorn start time for this district, because no other district semifinals starting at 3:30. They're either 2 or 4. So very interesting to see Poland and Brookfield having to be a little bit unique in having that 3:30 start time at South Range rather than the 4 o'clock start time we see at other places. So 3:30 and 6 for those 2 semifinals. And then we go into the last district. I'm getting long-winded. Oh, I've talked for way too long. We're just going to go over this really quick. Champion against Wycliffe. What do you know? I mean, we've been talking about Champion at the wazoo. It's Gabby Gradishar, what she's able to do, the sectional final she had, but you can't forget about players like Addie Warzela and Morgan Davis and Ziegler and Savannah Tavarich and those role players that really do a good job, especially the bottom half of their order, setting up the top. That's why Gabby Gradishar is able to get up to the plate with RBI opportunity. She's a leadoff hitter, which you usually don't see a lot of big RBI numbers from that position, but not for Gradishar. She gets up with a lot of people on because the bottom half of that order definitely does its job. And then at the bottom, I'm really interested in Columbiana versus Lakeview. This should be a good one. Lakeview has one of those teams that, in my opinion, has a really good offense, but they don't, you look at them, there's nothing that they do amazing. They're not like having the eye-popping home run numbers. They don't have the eye-popping batting average. They're just good at everything. They're good at pitching. They're good at hitting. And I think, that well-rounded team can be really dangerous in districts because they can play different style of games. They can play a pitcher's duel if you want them to. They beat Stowe 4-1. They can win a pitcher's duel for sure. But if you get into an offensive show like they did in the sectional final, they're more than willing to get into that and win that way too. So Lakeview versus Columbiana, that should be fun. And Clippers, obviously, you have to worry about Mackenzie Gamble first and foremost. She is just one of the best small school pitchers that we see in this area. Went toe-to-toe with Melina Toth at Canfield, even though Bella Kennedy pitched most of that game, but still went toe-to-toe with that Canfield lineup. And really impressive at the plate and in the circle. Caitlin Pluska can also come and pitch for Columbiana. They have 4 pitchers that have at least 15 innings. So that's going to help them throughout the district run as well. They have a lot of pitching depth in the circle. Columbiana also just 1 senior. So I think everything they're doing this year is great, and they're just going to use it as a springboard in the next year, returning so many players. But they want the window now. They don't want the window to shut and have to rely on next year. No one wants that. I'm not trying to say that. So that's going to be fun. Fun district semifinals. But we are going to now stop Anthony from talking and go into our interview section of the show and hear from someone that is competing in those district semifinals tonight. Maddie Dato from South Range, the junior that has really turned around her batting average, led the team in batting average last year, hitting 416 this year, and also patrol center field. Here she is from South Range. Anthony Hartwig here with a South Range softball player profile. I am joined by Maddie Dato. Maddie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You got it. Last year when we talked to you, Maddie, the theme of the interview was kind of being the transition from year one to year two and what it was like to have that year one under your belt and be able to use it as experience. Now, here you are as a junior. You're one of the upperclassmen. You're one of the older leaders. You know, you're a vet. What's it been like transitioning into this year and taking more leadership under your belt?
I definitely think it's easier this year because I know those seniors better and I'm more comfortable in the outfield and hitting, and I know the coaches better as well.
Last year, you really hit extremely well. You finished second on the team in average. Most of the season, you led the team in average. What was it like coming into this year trying to, I don't want to say one up your performances, but trying to build off that expectations of doing what you were able to do last year?
I definitely struggled at the beginning of the year, and I started off at second, and I did end up getting moved down to six, but that's just what works better in the lineup. And I think it was just what the coaches wanted, and I think I'm doing just as good as last year.
What do you think contributed to the early season struggles and then obviously the turnaround? It seems like it happened right in Myrtle Beach where you started to make things click with the bat.
Yeah, I think that I knew, yeah. I think that I knew I had a lot of pressure on me to do as good as last year, so I think I got in my head a little bit. And then once we went down to Myrtle, I just realized that I just had to play my game.
When you were moved down to the lineup, what did that do for you mentally? Did it take the pressure off of you to not have to be where you were last year when you were the leadoff hitter the whole season?
Yes, I do. At first, I was a little bit upset because I thought it was because I wasn't doing good, but then I just realized that it's what was better for the team.
All right, we talked at the top about the leadership capabilities that you've been able to have this year. What kind of leadership responsibilities have you taken on yourself this year to help a lot of these younger players on the roster?
Well, we do have two freshmen starting right now, and I think at the beginning of the year they were very nervous, and just telling them it's okay to make mistakes. And then also in the outfield, I'm in center field, so I know I have to take the leadership out there.
I mean, you have all the experience in the world to tell those freshmen what it was like. You stepped on that varsity level as a freshman, went all the way to the state championship game as a freshman. What kind of things have you shared with them about that experience on your end and what you went through your freshman year to help them along?
I think that we constantly talk to them about how fun getting there was, and just to try to make them want to get back there this year, because we definitely have a chance this year. So we just try to share all the memories and experiences we have there to get them excited for it.
You are experienced in tournament time, and last year you fell just short to a team that ended up going to the state championship game. How hungry is this team to get back to regionals and take that next step and get yourself back to Firestone?
No, we are definitely very hungry, especially because we fell short last year, and I think we can get just as far as we did last year and maybe even further.
Every time we bring a South Range player on, we ask about Myrtle Beach and what that does for them and what that does for the team. This year, like every other year, you go down to Myrtle Beach, you play an awesome schedule, and you have a week of team bonding. What was this year in Myrtle Beach like for you guys, and what did you take away from that trip?
At the beginning of the year, you could definitely tell how much the team was divided. When we would do stretches, it would be the freshmen and then everyone else. And then once we came back from Myrtle Beach, you could tell that everyone was getting along, and we were all actually friends outside of softball as well.
On the softball side of thing, we said Myrtle Beach was when you really got to click at the bat. Was there anything about being at the beach and being away from this weather upstairs that really let you click on offense?
I think just being down there and seeing other pitchers and not, because I feel when you're here, you know what the pitchers are going to throw you, so then you overthink it. And being down there, you don't know what they're going to throw. You don't know anything about them, and so it's just different.
Maybe some of the best teams that are on your schedule popped up in Myrtle Beach. What did that experience teach you guys coming back about what you were going to face back up here in the area?
Well, we saw a very good pitcher down there, and I think that helped us for when we came back and played Poland because Katie's a very good pitcher, and I think we were very prepared for her pitching.
You talk about Poland and the NE8. This year, you guys are able to go undefeated. Last year, Lakeview got you. A couple years ago, you split with Poland. So this is the first year with you that you've been able to go undefeated in the entire NE8. What was that like to sweep the conference this year and take care of everybody that you came across?
We definitely knew that we had the ability to do it, and Coach Droz really wanted us to be able to go undefeated, so we all just knew we had to step up in those NE8 games.
It wasn't without adversity. Jefferson took you to extras. Poland came back and took the lead on you in game 2. When you have moments like that in the league, when there's a little bit more pressure because obviously league standings are at stake, what's that like for you mentally to try to drive past those situations?
Honestly, I feel like the seniors do a good job at making sure everyone stays tuned into the game and not getting worried about the score or anything, and they're very supportive, and because they've been through this before, so they do a very good job of helping everyone.
You talk about these seniors. Last night was senior night for you guys. What was it like to obviously get them a win, but then celebrate their career and all they've done at South Range for your last home game of the regular season?
We were so excited. Me and the other junior, Gretchen Bartels, we spent the whole day decorating the dugout. We made a balloon arch and everything for them because we just wanted for them to have the best night.
Not your last home game overall, though. You guys are going to be hosting throughout districts if you make it that far. What's that like for you guys to be able to be a tournament host and have the opportunity to host your way through a district championship again?
I think it helps because we have the home field advantage, and it's just nice being on our own home field.
The thing about softball is every stadium is a little bit unique, whether it be the dimensions or how much foul territory you have or whatever it may be. What is it about that South Range softball field that makes it feel like home to you and gives you that home field advantage in tournaments?
I honestly just think that we hit off that field every day. We stand in the batter's box and do front toss. So we know what the field looks like. We know where everything is.
How much do you get to go up live against your pitching at South Range during practice?
Last year I feel like we did a lot. We have not done that much this year just because we didn't want to wear out Julie or Sam. And now with Sam being hurt, we haven't been doing it that much. But we'll do a lot of live bunting practice off of some of the JV pitchers just to see the ball coming in.
All right, so when you did hit Julie last year, or when you get the small chance to, or Sam, how much does seeing your own pitchers help you on defense know, situational things, maybe in the outfield, how someone's going to come off the bat, how the ball's going to react off the bat, because you've seen her pitches from the batter's point of view?
No, I definitely think it helps a lot, and they're probably one of the 2 best pitchers in the NE8, so it definitely helps.
What's it like playing defense behind them? I mean, you get to watch them work. Sometimes Julie doesn't let you play a lot because strikeouts are a ton. What's it like playing defense behind a pitcher like that?
It's honestly relieving because I know that if a ball gets hit into the outfield and I don't catch it or it's in the gap, she has the chance to maybe get the next 2 batters, strike them out so that runner doesn't score. And we can make mistakes out there, even though we should not because we should have her back.
You are a multiple sport athlete. We see you on the volleyball court, on the basketball court, in the softball field. Always busy. What's it like juggling all of that and school and a social life and all the things that come with high school?
It's honestly challenging to make sure I have time to do everything, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Now, obviously, that comes with big time management. You have to be good at it. Do you think you've developed time management skills as you've gone along, or have you always been a pretty organized person?
I think I've probably developed them as I've gone along, and I still don't think I really have the best time management because I still wait until the last day to do the homework, and I stay up late after the games.
You were more of a leader in every sport you played this year. How much did your leadership in volleyball and basketball help you become a leader in softball?
I definitely think it helped a lot, but I also think that softball helped those other 2 sports more because as a freshman, I started and I had to step up in the outfield. And Coach Droz had talked to me about that. Even though you're a freshman, you have to be the leader in the outfield, playing center field.
Obviously, those sports are dramatically different, but what kind of things did you take away from each one to help you go into the next? What do you take away from volleyball that helps you in basketball? What do you take away from basketball that helps you in the softball? And then obviously, what do you take from softball that helps you in the other 2?
I think all of them are different because I feel like each sport has different people playing it. So just playing with different people at each sport helps.
Since you do play all 3, I got to ask, what's the best feeling in sports? What's the best feeling that you get? Is it a big hit, a big catch, maybe a big kill in volleyball, game-winning shot in basketball? What's the best feeling that you have in sports, do you think?
I would probably say either getting like a kill in volleyball or getting a super good hit in softball.
Maybe a big block in volleyball too.
Yes,
Those are pretty
100%.
fun, and I know you got a lot of those. Maddie, you get the chance to play softball in the summer as well as travel, and you do a lot of it. What does that do for you in your career and setting new goals, and obviously being able to play against and with a lot of talented players in the summer?
I think it helps, and then also this year I'm playing with Kelly and Sam, so I think that'll be super fun. And also, just I feel like the competition is very good in the summer because all the best players come onto the best teams, and we see those teams.
Now, with how much you play, you sacrifice a lot of your summer vacation.
Yeah.
What gives you that drive to keep doing that and make those sacrifices and say, "Hey, this is worth it. This is what I want to do."
I think just knowing like the state championship honestly helped. That was like the game changer in softball for me, knowing that like I went there and like we could go there in the previous year. So I think playing travel honestly is just a way for me to get better, and then it gets me better for the high school year.
Junior year is where you start to think about your future. It's where you start to think about colleges, where you might want to go. You start applying for things as you go into your senior year. What's it been like trying to navigate those thoughts in your mind about what future might hold? Maybe if you want to play college softball, where you might want to go, and that kind of stuff.
Honestly, I'm completely undecided over everything. I don't know if I want to play. I'm honestly just confused with all of it right now.
Do you have any idea like career path you might want to go into or what you might want to learn in
Um,
college?
I want to be a physician's assistant, I think. So that I have that decided at least.
Well, there you go. You got one down.
Yeah.
I'll ask you another one. Like, do you know if you want to travel away from home or if you want to stay closer or where geographically you'd be looking for a college?
I think I want to stay close to home, but if I do go far away, I'd like to go super far away, somewhere down south.
All right, super far away. Where's like the dream state? If you could live anywhere for college, money wasn't an issue. All the other stuff that goes into college wasn't an issue, and you could just go anywhere you wanted. Where would you want to go?
I think down in Florida.
Why Florida? Is it Florida? There's a lot of southern states. What is it about Florida that attracts you?
Just the warm weather, and then I love being around the ocean, and I also have family members down there. So if I would go down there to play or just even go to college down there, I'd try to go to a school near them so then I could go to their house if I needed to, just to see family.
So it's almost the end of the school year, which means you're trying to grind through the end of the academic year, but it's also the most exciting part of the softball season. What's it like for you to try to stay focused in school when it's almost over and you're getting that end of the year, motivation skills, but you're also so excited about the end of softball season and the tournament run?
I think softball helps us stay motivated in school because as like right now we're at like the final end of school, so we don't have much going on, but then we have softball to look forward after school.
I'm sure with the deep tournament run, sometimes softball, if you go far enough, will clash with final exams and getting ready for that.
Mhm.
What's that been like to try to get ready for finals while you're also trying to prepare for really intense and high anxiety softball games?
The coaches always preach that school comes first, so we know that we have to study and get that done, but then still be going to practice and getting ready for those games.
What classes this year, this junior season, have given you the most trouble and made you work the hardest in the classroom?
I took a government class this semester, and that's been pretty hard for me.
Which one is the opposite end of the spectrum? The one that maybe, I don't want to say you don't have to work yet, but the one that comes a little bit easier to you?
I'm taking pre-calc, and it's also the JV coach, so she kind of helps me out, and she understands if like I don't have like everything done when I come to class.
We probably asked you this last year, but we can't go at a South Range softball player without talking about Coach DeRose and Coach Farron and this coaching staff and what they've been like to you, how they've helped you grow, how they've helped you get through that slump that you said that you started the season with, and some of the things that maybe you've learned from them this year that you didn't learn from them in the first 2 years.
Well, eighth grade, I actually played on Coach Farron's travel team, so I got to know him and know his coaching style. So coming into high school, that already helped, and he already knew what I was good at, what I struggled with, so that really helped.
How would you describe Coach Farron's coaching style to someone that never saw him coach?
I think he can be really hard on you, and like you just have to understand that if he yells at you and if he just shakes his head and walks away, you just have to know that like he's not mad at you. He just knows you can do better.
How would you compare him to Coach DeRose? Where are they the same in their coaching style? Where do they differ?
I personally think Coach DeRose has probably yelled at me more, but I think you can tell when Mr. Farron's more mad. Coach DeRose yells, Farron just gives like looks almost.
What's his one surefire way to get Coach DeRose to yell? Like, what is the one thing that is his like pet peeve that if someone on the team does, or if you do, you know you're gonna hear it when you get back in the dugout?
I say when playing a game, probably like if I don't catch a ball or if I strike out looking. But his biggest pet peeve is if you pick the ball up with your glove. And if anyone does it at practice or at a game, we have to run.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I do want to ask you about your family as well. Obviously, you have a younger sister, and now she's in the high school, and you're able to kind of deal with her. And then your dad is always a big supporter of you in your softball career. What does your family mean to you, and how much have they helped you throughout your career?
No, they are definitely so important to me. My dad's been my coach probably forever, and he's actually coaching me this travel ball season too. And if I think this will probably be my last travel ball season, so it's exciting for him to be my coach again.
What's it like to have your dad as a coach? You know, we talk to so many softball players. That dad-coach relationship seems like it's so common in softball. What's it like for you to be able to be coached by him?
When we were younger and he would coach, we would not get along at all. We'd scream at each other. But now that I think I'm older and I'm like more mature, and he also knows like how I'm gonna react, he doesn't necessarily like yell at me. He'll wait till like after the game to be like, "Hey, I think you should have done this, or you could have done that better."
Does that put a lot of pressure on your mom to kind of be the buffer between you
Yes,
two?
yes,
What are some things that take you away from that coach relationship? Maybe that your dad does that like it separates dad and coach, that makes sure that relationship doesn't blend and you guys aren't arguing about stuff and things like that.
I think that we've started getting along more better, and he wasn't he mainly coached my sister, so I feel like our relationship never like really was just about softball.
All right, Maddie, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to give anyone else that is supporting you and anyone else that you want to give a shout out to your time to do it, and thank the people that are there for you.
I just want to give a shout out to my family, also my coaches, and then all my teammates.
All right, Maddie, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you the best of luck in your tournament run. We can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for having me.
Maddie Dado joining us from South Range, and that's going to take us right to the end of the show. South Range is in a district semifinal tonight at South Range. 6 o'clock is your start time against Pymatuning Valley. Also at South Range is Poland versus Brookfield. We'll have Canfield versus Canfield versus NDCL at Hubbard. That's starting in about 2 minutes. Here's what else is on the network tonight for the district semifinals. We'll have both games at South Range. We'll have both games at Hubbard. We'll have the 4 o'clock game at Jefferson. That's going to be Ursuline versus Aurora. And we'll also have the 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock game at La Brea. So Lakeview and Columbiana, and Wycliffe versus champion Alacaberna going to be in La Brea for that. So we'll have all the districts covered. The only game we're going to miss, unfortunately, is at 2 o'clock at Jefferson. Just couldn't get anyone up there in the middle of the day. So Marlington and West Branch is the only one that will not be covered today. We have a regular season baseball game as Lakeview goes to Canfield tonight. That one's free, and that one's baseball. That'll be Landon Pelletes at the call there for Canfield. So all the tournament games are going to be pay-per-view. 999 gets you access to all of them on the network tonight. And then the baseball game tonight is free. Also going to have YSU baseball at Akron. Actually, they played this morning at 10:30 a.m., and I think they lost 13-4 is the final score. Akron beats YSU. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Running Point. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll be back with Scotty Mincher tomorrow on a Wednesday episode. We'll recap all the semifinals today. We'll have all the district championships set. We'll also recap the baseball action for the night and much more on Running Point tomorrow from 1 to 2 with Scotty. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Running Point, as always, is brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town.